So the first on interactive, how many use the whiteboard or uses the whiteboard all the time in your classroom sessions? Anybody? Okay, well, the iPad is a really powerful way to digitize the whiteboard in a way that can be recorded, sent to students immediately. If you're in your office and you're showing them something, it could be recorded with multiple apps on the iPad and sent to that student specifically. It can be shared to the whole classroom using a YouTube account. But faculty can walk around the classroom, allow students to interact with the whiteboard, pictures of students' work, importing student work as it's submitted via the Dropbox. So we'll show a little example of that here. Right now, I took a picture before class of everybody, of the chairs in here. It's pretty empty. All right. Now I'm going to take a picture now from the camera, about the same angle. Just that. And so this could actually be a before and after lab type of photo. Before the lab, after the lab type of thing. One cool way to do the whiteboard that I've used in the past. Photo, video, audio. The iPad, like all Apple devices, specialize in this area. Brian's back here, he can attest to this. They are developed to do video and to do photos. And the rendering of the processing, Windows really aren't developed for, designed for. And so the iPad's developed for multimedia type of applications. Like you'll see today, some of the things like textbooks, animation and textbooks and video. So faculty can record a video, annotate pictures while on a field trip like I just did today with the photo. In addition, faculty can embed audio into student papers. Aaron's going to showcase iAnnotate, which a number of faculty around the nation and world probably have used it this way, where you can actually add audio notes and things like that into a PDF file, and not only just, you know, circles and annotations, but actual audio notes for students to listen to the instructor comments on a paper. That cannot be done in any other type of device, just by itself. You can add other stuff to a PC to make that happen, but the iPad is built in with all those features. Animation. New interactive textbooks allow now for text to come alive. Video, 3D animation, audio, dynamic textbook, updates to the Apple Bookstore. We'll talk about that more in just a little bit. Accessibility. iPad fits faculty and students' lifestyle. Learners now have 24/7 access to mobile devices all the time. You'll see a graph in a second that might be eye-opening and might not be if you teach. You see this all the time. Creativity, tens of thousands of apps, educational apps expand learning in and out of the classroom. Learning styles, cognitive, I'll mispronounce these probably, kinesthetic, affective, the rich array of media available. This is a really cool in the last one, learning disabilities. I have a couple friends of mine that have learning disability children, and basically they have used the iPad for the last 2-3 years, and are under the age of 5, both of them. And they just, it's without this tool, not to say they couldn't grow as much as they have, but it'd be much more difficult with all the different applications you have out now with the audio and visual learning disabilities. One of my friends has an autistic child and loves the iPad, uses it all the time. There's an app out there that they can basically take a picture of everything they're doing throughout the day, annotate it, and they come back home and they watch it. And that helps in their learning process and development. And it's all built into the iPad. Here's a video on a community college how they use the iPad.
An example of such technology is the inclusion of the Apple iPad. It is already known to be a teaching device that can also be used as a versatile tool and data interface for vocational technology courses. Here you can see automotive students are able to check out an iPad just like they would any other tool. They can then use it to diagnose their vehicle when it exhibits a problem. For example, it can tell them exactly why the check engine light is on by providing engine codes. Being wireless lets students take the device anywhere with them and access real-time data. Students can get more work done during lab time as the iPad can load and process information much faster than other tools. Lastly, many students are already comfortable using handheld smart devices like these. Therefore, the interface learning curve is low. Using the latest in technology exposes students to yet another way to problem solve utilizing different tools. This makes their skill set more valuable in the job market. A multitude of apps are also available, and more are constantly being created for new uses in many different industries. When considering cost, iPads can sometimes be less expensive than other tools, while processing information much faster. And with a wireless connection, reference information from the internet is right at the student's fingertips. Using technology in the labs and classrooms is just one way WCC is innovating the student learning experience.
That's right. And, you know, a lot of community college actually start out with the iPhone or the iTouch device, which works fine for KeyNote. I've used it all the time. You can actually use AirPlay with the iPhone, iTouch as well, not just the iPad. But we'll talk about costs in a little bit. So emerging technology, the iPad is ranked #1 emerging technology for educational applications, as you might guess, textbooks, communication tools. There's no other platform right now today that's R&D, as much money is spent on R&D for iPad devices. No other device known that's developing applications in the educational realm. And we'll find out some publishers too that are spending a lot of money on it here in just a second. So all major publishers have worked with Apple in the last couple of years, the K-12 market specifically, in the beginning in the college market. You might hear a little bit today from those folks today that are talking. Teachers currently have the ability to create their own textbook on the iPad using the Apple iAuthor. I'm doing this with one of my classes right now. I developed my own textbook for one of my classes, and then there'll be a second one slated next semester for my PHP web development course. And students will be able to download the application called iBook to their device, get the textbook for free, the way I'm developing it, or you can charge $14.99, which is Apple's static cost for any new textbooks coming off the market, which is much cheaper than the hundreds of dollars they have to spend for a psychology textbook, let's say. And so that's pretty cool, I think. Puts in the hands of the faculty member to create whatever. Now, granted, some of you aren't going to want to do this, but some of you might want to do it. You might have content that you want to push, maybe not the entire text, but some content you want to push for students to see. I'll share a funny story. Might not be funny to you, it was to me, which I get that a lot. Anyway, in May of this year, I developed a PHP online iTunes U course manager, which is open now to faculty and teachers everywhere to create. And what it is getting the course exposure from around the nation, not just Rockford, to take my online PHP course development. I got a call from Steve Wilson, middle of May. Steve Wilson's over iTunes University in Cupertino. And I've talked to him a few times over the years. And so when he called me, he said, hey, can you get a second, call me back? I'm like, yeah. So I called back and he goes, hey, how you doing? You know, I know he didn't call to see how I was doing. So I see that you had up that PHP course manager on iTunes. I said, yeah, it's actually not done. I just started developing it. Well, you might want to go look at the numbers that are hitting it. And I had over 5,200 students at that time in a 2-week period from around the world register for this course. I wasn't even done yet. So I told him, I said, well, I can take it down, and I will take it down right now, but if you could, you know, if you want to help me get this up quicker, that'd be great. So, because Brian's worked with the guys from Apple, they're pretty detail oriented when it comes to graphics and layout. And I'm fairly good at graphics, but you know, I wanted some help. And so I asked him for help, and he helped me and got me going, and I got it up in about 2-3 days. And now it's over like 6,500 students registered. And what's cool about this course manager is that they have all the same content they have here on campus when I teach it. But what's neat about it is at the end of the course, I detail a link to admissions here on campus for them to register for the upcoming courses. I had 5 students in the fall semester that saw this online through iTunes U that are now registered for Web 290 PHP because of this course manager. And so we're talking about numbers and adding numbers. I thought that was a really, you know, it was hard for me for the first 3 days because I had no sleep getting it up and going. I'm like, what? It's not even done yet. And so if you're wanting to promote your course, any faculty can do this. And it can promote your course. It can also help students maybe that wouldn't otherwise have the ability to take that type of course. They might not even live in Rockford. I had a student from Germany that was a farmer, had 5 kids, never could go to school, still couldn't afford to go to school. He took the course and now is a PHP developer and has developed 3 or 4 websites and is helping his family financially. And so I think, you know, when it all said and done, it does come back to us as a college and as a person to do that. Personally, I believe that. And so you might not believe that, but I do believe that that's the case. It does help. Anytime you help others, it's going to come back. And so that was really mind-blowing to see that happen this last spring. Here's Apple's spill on textbooks.
I teach because when you learn, you become a better person, always.
I get to see young minds blossom, grow, develop.
The ability to engage a student is the key to being a good teacher.
Using outdated materials such as textbooks makes that job much more difficult.
In textbooks, you know, there's diagrams, but they're static. Something like a cell membrane is a fluid thing. It's always moving.
With U.S. history, they print a textbook and it's outdated almost the second that it's printed.
Textbooks are very expensive. They're usually $60 to $100 for different textbooks. So they're adopted for 5 years and then you're stuck with them.
They're extremely heavy, and if you have 3 or 4 in a backpack, you know, it's a lot of weight, and so some students will simply just quit bringing textbooks to class.
There is no reason today to assume that kids have to use the same tools that they used in 1950. In fact, to do so is to prepare them for a world that's already passed.
Education has always been a big part of Apple's DNA. And that's because we really believe that technology can make a profound difference in the way that teachers teach and kids learn. And we now have the opportunity to change one of the cornerstones of education, the textbook. With the iPad, we're making textbooks so much more engaging. By adding audio, video, and interactivity, the content comes to life in ways that are just not possible on the printed page. The information is always up to date, and instead of carrying 30 pounds of books in a backpack, you just need one iPad. These new textbooks are going to allow students to do things they could never do before.
When we set out to bring textbooks to iPad, there were really 3 areas we focused on. We wanted to have really fast, fluid navigation. We wanted to have beautiful graphics. And we wanted to create a better, easier way to take notes and use those notes. When you integrate photography, video, audio, interactive objects, and KeyNote animations right into the page, the material becomes so much more immersive and compelling. And you can do things you just can't do with a static paper textbook. Taking notes is one of the key ways students learn. So we're introducing some amazing new ways to take notes on iPad. When you see something you're interested in, you just swipe over it and it's highlighted. When you want to add a note, you just tap on it and type. And when you're ready to use your notes, you have an elegant study card view. It's all automatically organized for you, so you just don't have to think about it.
Up to now, making interactive books for iPad has been difficult, so we wanted to make it easier. And this meant so much to us, we had to invent a way to do it. So we developed iBooks Author, an incredible new publishing tool for the Mac. It has Apple-designed templates that allow anyone to create a beautiful multi-touch book for the iPad. And we wanted to get it into the hands of as many people as possible, so we're making it available for free. We also launched the new textbook section of the iBook store, and this will let publishers easily distribute the most up-to-date version of their textbook right to students. And students can open and read these textbooks right in the iBooks app. So now there's an easy way to create these books, an easy way to buy them, and an incredibly engaging way to experience them. And we're really excited because we think this is going to help students, teachers, and publishers.
Digitization of education is going to be the opportunity of the century. The textbook on the iPad is so much bigger, broader, and more dynamic because what it does is it brings the curriculum alive.
Now we are to the point where we need to have more 21st century materials. We need to engage children. We need to live in the world they live in. And Apple will be essential to that.
When you start talking about what the benefits of Apple and an educational company are, the power of that partnership is huge. It allows more people in more places to benefit from the capabilities that this will have.
Apple is a company that has a genius for engaging people. You can do things with a digital textbook that you never could before. It will make students much more interested, and if it stimulates curiosity, you've got the spark for learning.
The Los Angeles Unified School District is the place that I have the privilege to work. I have a little over 1,000 schools and campuses, and I serve more than 750,000 youth, pre-K through 12. It's an amazing school district, and it has amazing stories of success and unbelievable stories of challenge. We had decided to adopt iPad technology as we were trying to provide ways for increasing student engagement. With these interactive textbooks, we were going to watch huge leaps in what's possible for students. They're phenomenally going to change the landscape of education. I think it will reignite the whole passion about why we came into teaching to begin with.
I have become a better person while I've taught. You can't help it. You become attached to your students.
All these questions as you read.
There are some students that no matter what you do, you just cannot reach them, and it's a very, very sad feeling.
And as I add things to that.
But whenever I see a student make a connection or have a realization of comprehension and the light bulb just clicks on, you know, I want to stand up and cheer. I think with the interactive textbooks on the iPad, that connection will be occurring on a regular basis. It will definitely change my students' lives for the better. It will create opportunities for them to learn in ways they've never been able to learn before. They're going to want to go to school. They're going to want to learn. Learning opens eyes, it opens minds, and it opens windows into places that you've never dreamed of before. And there's nothing else I can think of that's near as rewarding.
Next is a
with iPad 2.0, free
university using
be able to adapt
iPads,
to changing technologies. And one of those changes is the iPad. This is what we're about to do our inkling pilot with. We decided that the iPad could benefit us by using the electronic textbooks, as well as in conjunction with using the MacBooks that we're currently using.
As we're moving from iNote to iNote 2, one of the main differences is our mobile devices. We're moving from MacBooks and iPhones and iPods to just the iPad. We've We've done some pilots on the iPad and very interested in what the iPad will offer our students. In particular, portability, battery life, the ability to have textbooks on the iPad. We're doing a pilot this fall with Inkling, in which a group of students will have all their textbooks on the iPad. We feel like that would truly add to the student experience.
I wanted to evaluate what we've been doing, what we learned from the original I Know initiative, and how we can adapt that the new technology that is out and come up with I Know 2.0.
I think it'd be wonderful to have an iPad in the classroom. It would make it a lot simpler to be able to have all of your information on one thing instead of having 5 or 6 textbooks, and you can have notes, PowerPoints, and the book all there, and you don't have to worry about forgetting something because it's something you're going to need all the time.
Reading a textbook, even browsing the web, checking your email, it's much better than the smaller format of the iPod Touch or the iPhone. So I feel like this is a great mobile device for the future of FHU.
I know too.
Yeah, Michael, on the next one. Inkling is the application he mentioned. Inkling is an open source app that you can download for the iPad to bring in all types of textbook resources. Ebook, EPUB is the top 2, I believe. Kindle has their own proprietary version as well. But Inkling is a source that they're using to bring in textbooks, because as you know, most of your textbooks you can get ebook format now, but Inkling allows you to bring those in. But now Kindle will allow some formatting of that, and then also the iBook app will also bring in, I believe, PDFs, EPUBs, and iBook format books. Yes?
How does that compare to CourseSmart?
CourseSmart is specific to the publisher, if I'm not mistaken. Is that a publisher app?
No, because I have Apple by Pearson and
Okay, I've not looked at that one. I've heard of it.
Bookstore turned us on to that.
Okay.
Students to buy ebooks.
Okay, yeah, I've not heard of that one. Inkling's been a real popular one among colleges for college textbooks. I know that, and so a lot of good things coming. You notice K through 12 is the main market right now, but I think it's going to be coming in the college realm for sure. Hundreds of colleges and universities, 2 to 4 year now required. iPads for faculty and students. The American Graduate Initiative that President Obama rolled out a few years back said the community colleges will graduate 5 million more graduates. iPads will help us get there. Jack mentioned that late in the meeting this morning. RBC has implemented an iPad pilot program for the fall and spring semester. Those folks that were here today that raised their hand, and I showed you their Facebook profile, plus some other ones are a part of that pilot. If you are interested and you have an iPad and you want to jump onto this, email me. Let me know if you're in here today and you want to do that. I'd be more glad to help you get you aboard. I'd like to keep it fairly small, though, to a small group if we could, fall and spring semester. This is a community college, Dodge City Community College. It's requiring faculty and students both to have iPads. Quote from the president says we're going to move our level of teaching and involvement with technology in the 21st century. I believe they embed it into the cost for the students when they come to campus. There's some loan processing, some finagling they do there to help that happen, but they make it happen. So it can happen if the initiative's there from administration and from faculty. Here's a really cool graph from Presta, which is well known for different types of surveys. Puts in here about college and students' technology, how they're codependent. 73% of college students that were asked this cannot do without technology. 70% of students use their keyboards to type notes. 91% of students email to communicate to the professors. 38% of college students cannot go 10 minutes without checking their email, tablet, laptops, or smartphones. And I think some of you are in that same realm in here, as I saw today. 98% of students who own an e-reader read e-textbooks, and 65% use digital device to create presentations. And there's a link at the end of the presentation to get all this stuff. The iPad perception is positive. According to a March 2011 survey by Pearson Foundation and Harris Interactive, the majority of college students, around 69%, feel tablets like the new iPad will transform learning. 63% of degree seekers said they believe tablets can greatly enhance the college learning experience in particular. One of the biggest reasons tablets are so popular on college campus is the fact they give students convenient access to digital textbooks. That's the main driver force in colleges, I believe. Same with K through 12, it was the driving force was textbooks or ebooks you've heard of. Whether they're pursuing classroom-based or online education, either one. Pearson survey shows almost half of degree seekers feel for this reason tablets will replace textbooks in the next 5 years. And then I mentioned the Apple, we became an Apple developer campus, April of 2012. We are now the only Apple developer campus within the tri-state region, besides Madison, Wisconsin is another one. And so Illinois, Missouri, Indiana, we're the only one college or community college, university level that are teaching iOS development for both the iPad and iPhone. And I've had to go to a number of trainings over the last year to get this. And so it took about a 6 months process to get on board, and a lengthy process of paperwork, probably about 2-3 months of paperwork to get approved. And so just through Apple. And Apple's not real fast in anything that they do, just like we aren't real fast in anything we do, right? So you'll be kindred spirits for sure with Apple products. But when they do come out with new stuff, it is generally good quality. And so we'll talk a little bit about new stuff in a little bit. iPad is ranked #1 in market share. No brainer there. I've got Apple, Samsung, Amazon, Asus. You might have never heard of Asus, some of you. Barnes & Noble, others. So right now, Apple is at about a 64% market share in sales worldwide in tablet devices. So now on to demo time. Okay, we're doing good on time too, so that's good. George and Aaron, would you guys make sure you can see your stuff? If you can't, what I might do is take a break when you're up here in a second. But, okay, sweet.
Okay, so we need to turn, well, you'll let us know when you want.
Yeah, I'll let you know. It might take a few seconds there to make sure. Okay, everyone else in here that has an iPad, you just have to be connected to the internet in here, either RVC, you can just do RVC if you want to. The RVC internet, everybody's connected to the Wi-Fi. You can go to the m.socrative.com. Those of you that did this earlier know what I'm talking about. This is an application called Socrative while they're getting it fired up there. Socrative allows you to do real-time quizzes, real-time polls, and it lets you do create your own quiz. It was developed by teachers that are programmers like myself. It's based out of New York, New York State. And notice on the overhead, you can do a student-based or a student-paced or teacher-paced. We're going to do the teacher-paced. The student-paced quiz is students answer at their own pace. Teacher-paced is run a pre-made quiz that you made or you share. You can share these quizzes amongst each other as well. You can also, which I'm not going to do, you can do randomized answers, disable immediate right-wrong feedback, hide question explanation. And at the end of this, what's cool about it is you can send this report to yourself, to your own email here at Rock Valley, or any other email you might have attached to. So I'm going to go ahead and get the demo quiz and do teacher-paced quiz. And again, you just have to be connected to the internet and go to m.socrative.com. It'll take a bit to connect. And then you're going to type in this room number or this key, room number 93594. It'll ask you to enter in your first and last name, and please do so, and you'll see it populate on the overhead as it's doing so. If you have a problem connecting in here, just kind of look to your neighbor if you don't mind, just to kind of expedite it. But this can be done on any mobile device, laptop. I know some of your classrooms, I've even used this for online courses, for impromptu polling of students on new topics and subjects. You can launch it at certain times. If you have online office hours, you have online, some faculty have online sessions with their online students. How many teachers online where you have a specific time during a week or month or sometime during a semester where they have to do something with you online? Okay, well, you could fit this into your lesson plan. So we got quite a few folks in here, 11 looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and advance. And you should get pushed in just a moment, the next question, which I know everybody's going to know. And these questions can be formed open-ended. You can have multiple choice, where you can have all the choices they can select. I can hide the results, like I'm doing now, or I can make them live. And as people are filling out that form or that question and submit it, it dynamically updates the results of the graph. So I have 11 out of 11 that have responded. John Adams, Ronald Reagan, and Chester A. Arthur. That's probably not. Who was Socrates? Number 3 question. And just put your little answer there. And you can help each other or look on the overhead, however you want to do it. You got a couple wrappers in there. Like that. You could have been a rapper, you never know. All right, so we have 9 of you say he's a philosopher, 1 rapper, and 1 teacher. Now you'll note it's still anonymous on the display. Go to the next question. The blank is a form of inquiry and debate based on asking and answering questions to stimulate an engaging class discussion. The name of the app actually has something to do with the answer. Okay? And while you're responding to this, I shared a story with the folks before the session. We were going through this real quick. I taught high school for a number of years, and I had a student when I taught programming that we had a quiz. The first quiz of the semester was pretty good size. Quiz. It was like 75 questions, something like that. Not really a quiz, 75 questions. But anyway, I gave it to my students, and she made like an A+ or something on it. The rest of them made like B's, C's, which is pretty average for high school students at that first time, that first assessment. Anyway, I asked her after the class, I said, hey, how'd you study for your test? And she said, well, I memorized the material. She was a foreign exchange student from Soviet Ukraine that came over, and she had been taught from like first grade on to memorize material that she'd been given, and then she was actually taught this Socrative method of being assessed, where she would have her teachers sit in front of the room and just ask her questions, any questions they wanted from any subject, and that's how they passed on to the next grade. And so they had to know by memory, rote memory, all the material. And so the high school students I was teaching, when she shared that, I was like, whew, we don't have to do that. But this is a great app, I think, to poll students on their knowledge of certain subjects you're getting ready to talk about and get ready to discuss, because you might knock out a certain area of the lesson plan that you have planned because they really don't need to be covered in that area. Maybe it was that they know that content. And so you could tailor their questions to help you understand that more. And then the last one, in your opinion, will mobile technology improve education? This is an essay, and I'm going to actually hide the results right now, and then I'm going to show in just a second. Because you can do this. Somebody asked me, we were going through the demo here before the session today, can you hide the live results? And you can, just like I'm doing right there, to where the whole class doesn't see everybody's answer. You could do that as well. So I'll wait for that to get bumped up a little higher, and then we'll show the live results. And again, it'll just have the answer that you gave without any type of attribution to you. So yes, yes, but, only if, and then not sure. So that's pretty honest assessment there. Now, watch when I end this activity. When I end this activity, I can email this report to myself immediately, and then I'll go to my email to show you an example of one that was done. Actually, I'll do one right now. I heard it come in. All right, yeah. Okay. And so there's the results. I can go into it and look at everybody's response and answers. And then if I wanted to, the way I've used it is I can meet with the student individually if I think that they need help. Maybe I can't help them. Okay, so that's Socrative. Pretty cool, right? And it's a free app for teachers online. To buy it, to download it, can't remember off the top of my head, $3 or $4, something like that. Pretty inexpensive though. It's called Teacher. If you notice on the bottom left of my iPad, it says Teacher, but the website is Socrative.com. You can actually go there without an iPad and register as a teacher and begin using it for your students without an iPad, actually, to play with it, Socrative.com. So what do you guys think about that? Pretty cool. So real-time polls, real-time quizzes, real-time results can be assessed by mobile, laptop, or desktop web browser. Any browser, whether it be Firefox, Chrome, Safari, mobile, Droid devices, iPhones, iTouches, iPads, laptops, desktops, doesn't matter. It can be accessed from those devices. Now I'm going to shift and talk about 3 items, the way I use iPad all the time in all my classes the last couple of years. And I do it in these steps. And everybody's going to do it different in here, as you'll find out today, how you kind of learn things a little different and use things differently. But Dropbox, KeyNote, and Explain Everything. Those 3 apps I'm going to explain. KeyNote, you're probably familiar with, maybe some of you. It's Apple's version of PowerPoint, and it's on the iPad. And it's what I'm actually using today to show you this presentation. So I can bring a KeyNote, open up KeyNote and import, say, a PowerPoint I've had in prior semesters, or from the publisher, bring it into KeyNote, do my editing I want to on it. And then from KeyNote, I can share that to Dropbox and save it as a PDF file, which I like to do a lot because you really lose the animations anyway when you bring it into Explain Everything, which we'll talk about. So I like to save it as a PDF file. It's a little smaller file size, and it works great. And plus, I can share it on other devices. If you want to keep the animation, though, you probably want to just keep it in KeyNote, which some faculty are doing that already with their iPad. And so I fire up KeyNote, do my creation or editing of my presentation for the class. And this is for every one of my classes, I do this. Dropbox is the iPad app to share files. Apple has no way to natively save files to the device, okay? And there's a couple reasons for that. One is security. They don't want people to have access to the system files of the operating system, okay? They don't want geeks to be able to go in there, like me, and destroy the system files. So they lock us out from system files within the iPad. Now, you might have heard of a term called jailbreak, which is basically jailbreaking. A couple of you are laughing. Jailbreaking is basically where you take the iPad, iPhone, and you can go to a website, download an application, jailbreak it to break that security, but then you open yourself up for a whole bunch of junk and bad stuff can happen. So I recommend to faculty not to jailbreak your devices. I've done it before in the past. Okay, I have. It isn't illegal, by the way. The term sounds illegal, but it's not. You can do it if you want to. But there's plenty of apps out there that you can download for free or paid. You don't need a jailbreak. And there's actually ways around whatever it is you're wanting to do without jailbreaking it. But Apple does not have a file system, so they use Dropbox. Dropbox came about as a third-party app. It's not an Apple app. And what they do is, and many of you have used this probably, it has clients for Windows, Macs, mobile devices, and you can be in your office, type in a Word document, save it to Dropbox, bring it up into your iPad. Bring it up, maybe make a KeyNote on your, or a PowerPoint on your office computer, save it in Dropbox, bring it into KeyNote on the iPad using Dropbox. With Dropbox, you can also share files easily. You can right-click and copy within Dropbox, and I can share a file with you to open very easily. And then I take it from Dropbox, once I've saved that PDF from KeyNote, and I open up Explain Everything, and I import that presentation from Dropbox. I present to the class, I record it, and I share it to the class by the end of the session. Before they get home, generally it's in Eagle for them to look at. So let me just show you real quick how that works. I'm going to go ahead and go into Explain Everything. We'll go to New Project. The first thing I like to show is the whiteboard that it brings you. You can actually do just simple whiteboarding. What's cool about it is if I hit this little record button down here, if I'm in my office or even if I'm up here on the front of the classroom, I can be recording what's happening up here on the screen, okay? And then I can go back and play that later. The record button down here, if I'm in my office or even if I'm up here on the front of the classroom, I can be recording what's happening up here on the screen, okay? Okay, so that's an example real quick. And then I can share that in my photo roll, YouTube. I can email it to the student, put it to Dropbox, Evernote, Box, or WebDAV. These are just Dropbox all the way down are other file sharing apps within the iPad that most developers put in their applications. I recommend Dropbox if you're just getting started with the iPad on a file sharing app. Box has some pretty cool features that it just come out with recently. As a teacher, I can create a Box folder and share it, and students don't have to, in essence, create a Box account to get access to that. It can be like a public folder for them to put, I can put content in there, whether it be PDF, whether it be code, examples, whatever it might be. I'm going to go ahead and exit out of that. I don't want to save it. Now I'm going to do the Dropbox. Import from Dropbox. It's connecting to my Dropbox folders. I'm going to come in here and connect to a PDF file from my network security class from week 11 from last semester, and just choose that file. And I really like Explain Everything. You'll find out in a second how easy it is to use to move objects around, put arrows in your presentation, text, voice, whatever it is you're wanting to do. Add a web browser into it. A lot of cool stuff you can do with this application. So it doesn't take too long, and it's a fairly good sized PDF file that actually is bringing this in to the application. "52 slides. So I can come in here and again hit the record button, begin annotating slides as I see fit. I can actually come in here and point out different items in the slide. I can move that arrow around dynamically, move objects around dynamically. And then again, as I see fit, I can play that and save it and export it immediately. Explain Everything, great application. So, what do you guys think about Explain Everything? Pretty cool, right? Pretty sweet. And by the way, resources on everything I'm showing you, not just this is being recorded today, but I also have an online course that shows you everything that I'm going over today. It's like an hour and a half of videos, step by step, how to do everything I'm talking about. Because I have no time, I have all the free time in the world. Yes?
I was wondering, what did the students need on their end to do something you've done and explain everything? Like you just recorded some stuff.
They would just need a web browser and click a button in Eagle, and I have it embedded in that week's folder, and they just click that embedded YouTube file, and they view it. Now, I do recommend to students to view course content like that off campus, just to save bandwidth on campus. I always tell students that, and Brett's back here like, yes, thank you. Because YouTube does take a lot of bandwidth, and if they don't need to see it on campus, I don't recommend showing it on campus. I tell them to do it at home. So, explain everything. I've already went over all this. I'll hurry up so I can get to those other folks in here that need desperately to show you some stuff that they do. Cloud On is an application, and this one's really cool. It just came out in the last 3 months. It's an application that lets you edit and create MS Office apps of documents like Microsoft, PowerPoint, Excel. It does use Dropbox, and you can open an email attachment and reply, which I'm going to do with Tom's email that he sent over the weekend to everybody that I know everyone read on the LMS update, right? Yeah. So here it is. He's got some, looks like a couple PDFs in here and then a Word document. I'm going to open up the Word document. I'm going to open it up inside of Cloud On. What it's doing is fires up Cloud On, opens up Word, and now from within Cloud On, I can actually have a full browser, full application basically with the toolbar like everybody's used to seeing in Office at the top. And so once it loads, you'll be able to go in and edit that document and then reply back to the person that sent it to you immediately via email. For your size document.
How is that different than iAnnotate? Because it's Word, sorry, it's Office documents.
It's an Office
I was playing
document.
around with both of them last night.
And the other one's PDF.
Yes.
Yes.
I Cloud On is really cool too. I was playing with it last night, and I was like, this is great.
Yeah, it does.
This is
I like it.
I like it a lot.
I do
I
like
was
it.
having fun switching between the two, you know, but it was pretty darn cool.
It looks like everybody's downloading cat videos or something right now. It's just taking forever. Okay. See if I can access something here. Yeah, it's almost there. We'll just let go. Anyway, let me discuss the little icons here at the top. The middle icon shows you the settings of the Wi-Fi. The right icon, the little A with the pencil in it, that's the icon that you would click on to create dynamically from scratch Word, Excel, and PowerPoint files. You can create those. And then once you create a document, it's going to put it in the Dropbox in the upload folder by default. And so I have tons of documents in my upload folder because that's what Cloud On uses. I believe you can remap that to another folder, but that's the default one it puts it in.
Just pull the attachment out of the Dropbox.
Yeah, from the upload folder. Correct. I can do it that way too. But you'll see in just a second, since I open this from my email, I can edit it, and then when I reply, it attaches that edited document to the person I'm sending it to. So if you sent me a document, so there it is right there, I'm going to go ahead and type in something here very profound. All right. But if you notice the toolbar at the top is fairly close to 2010, Office 2010. So I made an edit there. I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to email this file to myself. The one thing I don't like is when you email the file to the person, again, you have to type it in manually. It doesn't have the RBC directory, which we're all spoiled of using maybe. You don't have that. So when I send it, it now sends it to myself or whoever it is I'm sending it to. And then as far as what it looks like, let me show you what the end result looks like here. Or not. Email's taking forever. No, I'll get it. There you go. I sent one earlier. Look at that one. Chuck Conkle has used Cloud On to send attached file, Rock Valley College LMS selection. So if I sent this to Tom and he clicked on that document, it would see the edit I made in there, and then he could view it. Now again, it does promo Cloud On, but it's free. They can promo it all they want to. Or am I going to complain? Okay. And if Tom has an iPad or not, he doesn't have to have an iPad actually. There is a browser version of Cloud On as well that you can use from any web browser to do the same thing. What do you guys think of that one? Pretty cool? 15 minutes. Jumping on to Aaron Fisher.
Okay.
I annotate.
So do we need to get mirroring on?
Yeah, get Mary and see if you can get it. While she's seeing if that works, I'm mirroring. Anybody have any questions while she's getting her mirroring on? Anybody? Yes?
Just for those applications that do not require the iPad, so you could use pretty much any type of reader, the Kindle, the Note,
Yeah,
access.
I might have Aaron actually hit that because as far as that question, because I think she might be more familiar with some of the textbook apps than I am and maybe looked at that a little bit more, possibly. So you mind answering that?
I was focused on this, so I didn't hear what her question
She
was.
was asking about other type of ebook formats. Is that right? As far as Kindle and things like that?
Yeah, a lot of those can have PDF versions, so you can bring those in. It's pretty much. Yes. At least that's what I heard.
Okay, so students would be locked into actually buying, having, if I wanted to do this in my classroom, they would be locked into buying an iPad.
No.
No, there are other tablets.
Exactly.
There are. We have, at my house, we have iPads and the Samsung Galaxy tablet, so I'm like testing out both, trying to see,
That's fine.
what's available.
Right.
Yeah,
And-
it's just that iBooks, I mean, obviously I'm biased because I find when it comes to education stuff, Apple does have a leg up on everybody else. There's just something about the way that Apple approaches their software, that it's very pro-teacher, very pro-education. But iBooks, the textbooks that are available that are made specifically for Apple, for iBooks, my experience so far in the little bit that I've been playing around with them are superior. And they're more interactive.
Yeah.
And I've gotten some things from my 9-year-old daughter, who is a big science buff. And I have to admit this, science is benefiting tremendously from what Apple's doing because of the interactive textbooks. You can get textbooks for Kindle and for other PDF readers, but the textbooks that they're developing for iPads, I'm not kidding. I mean, my daughter can read about kangaroos and can watch a little video about kangaroos, then can watch the lifespan of a kangaroo and all in one place in a way that it's amazing.
So that answer your question?
Yeah, I guess I'm trying to figure out how I could use this, because I teach accounting courses, and I'm just trying to figure out how can I use this.
If you want to get with me right after the session, I'll be more glad to help you, or anybody here that stays back, I'll be more glad to help you. So keep that question, definitely. Go ahead.
Okay, so
Speak up.
I'm a little enamored with I Annotate, but I have to admit, last night I played with Cloud On for the first time, and now I'm all excited about Cloud On. Because what I was going to have my students start doing was turning their work in as PDFs so that I could annotate. But now that I can actually do it on my iPad with Cloud On, I don't know. I'll probably do both. But anyway, okay. So I Annotate is a PDF reader, annotator, whatever you want to call it, where you can put in notes. You can use a pencil if you want to circle things if you want. I put in little notes. You can do photo annotations. You can do sound clip annotations. So if I want to record a sound, if I want to say something to my students, I can, tap somewhere and then I can start to record. It's recording right now. I can stop. And when they get this document on their tablet, they can hit play and they can hear the comment that I made. It's so much fun. And just even, entering in different notes. You just tap anywhere to create a note, and you can just type, hit done. And so if they open this up on their iPad or their tablet, they can do this. But you can also email it to them as a compressed document in a variety of forms. So one, you can email it to them, and it will have the notes opened up. So it will actually say what it is.
Oh, okay.
Or you can email it to them in a way where all of your notes are numbered and then they're at the bottom of the page. So that way nothing that you've written on it is hiding what they're reading. So there's 3 different ways.
Okay.
And it can connect to Dropbox or just Box. There's two things you can store stuff online with. And you can bring in, so I have, for example, in my library, I have student work, but I also have, for example, different things. And I have, for example, I'm working on my dissertation. And so one of the really cool things that I found for all of the PDF documents, because I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of those, is I can make annotations on these, and there's a search function.
Sweet.
So I can search based on my annotations. I can code. But the best thing too is, let's say I find an article that I want my students to read, and it's in a PDF. I can make comments in here so that while they're reading it, they can either read my comments or hear it. So let's say that there's a section I want them to pay particular attention to when they're reading it. I can type that in there, or I can put in a little voice thing that says, really pay attention to this next paragraph, so that as they're scrolling, it comes up, and they can do that. So I've been having a lot of fun.
I've had a couple of your students in my class actually talk about your feedback, how much it's helped them a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's.
So you wouldn't mind fielding questions, Aaron, after this?
For me, a lot of this stuff, yes, you can do at a desktop computer or a laptop computer, but for me, the issue here is that this is so movable, and it's doable anywhere that I'm at.
Right.
And for me, I teach online, being able to use this in multiple different ways, in multiple different places is terrific.
And you mentioned too, a while back, on the cost factor on Adobe Professional, it's in the hundreds, I don't know how much it is.
Right.
Adobe Professional to do the editing functionality this app does for what, $10, $9.99?
Right. This is significant because what we can do on these PDFs is what you would have to buy the full Adobe software for. And yet they just made an app for it on the iPad.
Right. It's almost a wash. You'll find out in a second on the cost factor for new iPads. What a new iPad would cost coming up here in a few months, what a full Adobe Professional pack will cost for one faculty member. Just the software alone is just astronomical, and you can do that in this app. So great present. You don't mind answering questions from people maybe after this session? We only have about 8 minutes, so that'd be great. Okay, because you're next up too, I believe, Aaron. Aaron, you're going to show the next one too.
Yes. Okay. So something else to show you guys that is really what I love the most and makes me the most excited about using iPad in my classroom are these really great apps that you can get for teaching. And I'm lucky that I teach in a field where it is rich with apps right now. There's all kinds of psychology apps, and there's all kinds of neuropsychology and neuroscience apps. And the one that I love the most is the one that I've chosen to demo right now, and that is this wonderful little app called 3D Brain. And in psychology, we have a lot of biology, which students are often surprised to find out, but they have to learn different parts of the brain, different functions, endocrine system, different neurotransmitters. And when I said that science was an area that was really benefiting from Apple's movement into education, this is what I'm talking about. I have looked into pieces of software to use in my classroom on brains and things like that that would allow me to do this at the PC, and they're upwards of $300. And we don't have the budget for it. So I found this one and fell in love. And if you'll notice down in the lower left-hand corner, there's different options, so different parts of the brain that I want to show, all of the different parts, and I can move it around. I can make it bigger. You can choose labels, and what it will do is it will label the areas, and you can choose information, and it gives these awesome overviews. And one of my favorite parts is a case study. One of the things that when I teach the parts of the brain is that every time I talk about a part of the brain, I specifically identify a behavior or a study or something to sort of bring it home to them so that they can really get it. And this has it built right in.
What's the cost on that, Aaron? Do you remember?
I bought this about 1.5 years ago, and it
Under
seemed
10?
like it, for something like this, I think it was under 15.
Under 15,
It was
okay.
under 15. I tried several of them actually.
I just downloaded it for free. It's
Free.
free.
I think I bought
Free, there we go, we like that.
I'm sure that I bought
Right when it came out.
right when it came out. That's great. So that, see, look, do you see what I'm saying, you guys? This is even better.
Great.
And so all of the different parts, you can choose, for example, too, this has a structure. So, for example, if I wanted to talk about memory, I can just choose hippocampus. I can ask it to put the label on so they can see it. And I can do all of this.
Are you excited a little bit about this app?
I'm sorry, this is, to me,
Making
this
sure.
is so much better than a static PowerPoint where I'm clicking and the hippocampus comes up. This
Right.
is so much cooler, and
Cool.
I've been using stuff like this in KeyNote in my classroom now for a while, and I know that it seems like a shallow reason for students to be engaged,
Right.
but the more visually stimulating it is, the more engaged they are.
Right.
And I get more students that say that they enjoy coming to class because they actually enjoy the presentation.
Right.
And they are really into it and looking at it. And I get excited about the idea of them having this on their iPad
Right.
or on their tablet while I'm teaching it.
Yep.
I think that would be really, really great.
Well, thanks, Aaron, for sharing. George, you're going to end.
Oh, yeah, I can go quick.
Go ahead and flip over.
Oh, yeah.
I'll have you turn off yours and George turn his on. And George is going to give his presidential thoughts. Are you
I'm
on?
not showing up.
You're not on, or you
No,
are?
I'm on, but I'm not popping up on the screen.
Not on.
Oh, and it just clicked me off.
Yeah. Well, that's because I just turned it off.
I will,
You told me it wasn't on. Oh, you should be able to see it come up here in a second.
No, the Mirror app went off, so
Right.
I'm logging back onto your
Okay.
site here. Come on. Of course,
It takes a second.
I think. Let me get back on. There we go. See, this is
Yep.
spot. Okay, now.
Cool.
Okay. All right. I kind of looked at things from the perspective of an instructor. I know Aaron looked at it from the perspective of a teacher, and I sort of looked at it in terms of, okay, if I'm going to use this, what do I need? What would students need to get started? So I just wanted to expand a little bit on the Dropbox. I'm not trying to plug them. I don't have any stock in the company. But it is a pretty good app. If you decide to do this, you get, just for signing up, the free version, 2 gigabytes for free. And then, of course, if you invite people, you get up to 18 gigs. There's been lots of different documentation, side-by-side comparisons between some of the different, things like Dropbox that are out there, but Dropbox keeps, coming out as being, one of the tops. And I know that Chuck mentioned this, but everybody is talking about, tablets and how many of the college students are using them now. So some of the survey data he mentioned already, but 1/4 of college students surveyed said they already owned a tablet, compared with just 7% from last year. And this is from March of this year. And this is the survey in which they said that they are expecting electronic books to replace textbooks. So I looked at it from the perspective of, I need to start using this stuff. This is probably where I'm going to see a lot of things going. So I use Dropbox now. So I have lots of different files in here, stuff related to all aspects of what I'm doing. But in terms of my classes, I have different files set up on Dropbox with each of my different classes, and then different things I would need in there, such as my syllabi, copies of PowerPoint presentations, etc. And the nice thing about Dropbox is it will automatically tell you some of the different apps that are out there that you can open that file in. And then it's really just a matter of you figuring out what you're most comfortable with. So I've used a couple already, just like Aaron. I've used the iAnnotate. So what I've been doing is going through some of the PowerPoint presentations I've had and just saying, and this is where I need revision, this is what I want to do. So if I'm making it into KeyNote, if I'm going to bring in some new animations and really take full advantage of the iPad, different things I can do, just stuff that didn't work in class, the students didn't get it, or in all honesty, I think I have something up here. Yeah, I just didn't like it, so I'm just going to get rid of it. And so, you know, the apps that are out there, they're pretty straightforward to use, and I wanted just to make sure, you know, a lot of them, they come with the directions, and they're pretty detailed. So Notability is another one that you can use. One that I've been using a little bit more of recently is Evernote, because it does have some really good things about it. It has lots of different detailed instructions, but one of the really nice things about it is you're seeing more and more instructors. So I just you know, marked this one, where you have people that are working in various areas talking about how they're using it in their classes and giving some background on what they're doing and how they're doing it. So Evernote has a blog set up just for teachers where they can start adding in tips, ideas about how to do this. You're not reinventing the wheel in your own classes. I mean, the stuff is there, it's laid out for you. Another one that I've been using a little bit is Pages. And this one I've been using more for my Word files and doing sort of the same thing. So as I've been going through the lecture, making little notes to myself about things I might want to change, things I might want to edit in the future. And so what I'm trying to do is use some of these tools, familiarize myself with them, so that when I tell the students you can do these things, I have a little bit of an idea.
This last slide actually has a URL, I believe. Cost. I do want to mention the future Mac Minis coming up, $250 to $300 range in October. Be looking for that. Funding, I don't have time to go over that, but there is funding. Get with me, I can help you.
I really recommend getting cellular data.
Cellular data on the device?
Because I have an iPad with cellular data and an iPad without cellular data.
You recommend the cellular?
And I recommend
okay.
getting cellular data and getting a data plan, because then you're not tied to finding
Great.
Wi-Fi. I use it in the car to grade while I'm waiting for my daughter to come out of school.
Here's my little video my 3-year-old helped me with. 3-year-old grandson. There. This is that RBC parking lot, by the way. Old Jay. Slow ride. I think it's a perfect song for the iPads. Take it slow. Take it easy. We're going to get there. Bear with us. It will happen. And there's a resource link for teaching with iPad.blogspot.com that has all the resources we talked about today, including a link to this presentation will be on there after this session. So thank everybody for coming. The handout that's with you, take that with you. I appreciate it. You can just come up and talk to me or email me if you want to. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, man.